guys, it's me Janice again and again and again and again and again. And for today's video, I'm going to talk again about the readings of the Philippine History Part 3. But first, I want you to know na ang mode of reflection nga akong gigamit gapon is mirroring. So now, let's proceed to our first topic. Minutes of proceedings on the national territory of the 1971 Constitutional Convention. This document contains one article with 5 sections. The Article 1 entitled The National Territory. It consists of the Philippine Archipelago, which is the ancestral home of the Filipino people and which is composed of all the islands and all other territories belong to the Philippines by historic right or legal title, including the territorial sea, the airspace, the subsoil, the seabed, the continental shelf, and the other submarine areas over which the Philippines has sovereignty or jurisdiction. The first section says that the national territory of the Philippines shall be the archipelago of the name. From the word archipelago means an area that contains a chain or group of islands scattered in lakes, rivers, or the ocean means the Philippine National Territory ay magiging kapuluan ng pangalan nito in which it is the historic home of the Filipino people from its beginnings. Well, for me, this document wants to deliver the message of being territorial. When we say territorial, it means being valuable on what's his. I mean, try to take a look at the words or message written here. It is obviously protecting, fighting the Philippines territory on what's its properties. And this document is a relatable one for I am also a territorial person. Kana kung, territorial nga tao ba kanang kung gusto kong what is mine, ana good kanang kung unsa ang ako dapat ako lang walay makiapilay mana good so ma-relate na ko siya sa akong sarili kani nga kay man gud siya nagatalk ni siya about sa how Philippines nga pinaglaban nila ba kung unsa ang atua kung unsa ang para sa tua mga ana good so kita man hita ng territorial man ta even sa mga butang sa tao man or sa padaraa, diba? Naman dito yung mga inana nga traits nga kana kung I always want what is mine, what my properties are my properties, and willingly to fight for it. Because if you value that property, you would do anything just to make it only yours. Ano di ay ikaw, masugot di ay ka nga ang imong uyab sa lain, di ba dili? Char. So now let's proceed to topic 2. The role of Islam in the history of the Filipino people. The entrance of Muslim traders from the Persian Gulf, southern India, and their followers from many Malay sultans in the 14th century brought Islam to the Philippines. The appealing traits of Islam as a whole, as well as its ability to meet new requirements caused by rapid economic developments caused by the nature of international trade at the time must be examined. This document contains 5 stages: the first, second, third, fourth, and the decline of sultanates. Well, the history of Muslims in the Philippine South, as well as the lives of its sultans, are epic in nature. There has been a great deal of cruelty, grief, and suffering in the aftermath of their depredations and constant struggle against aspirations to subjugate them. Yet, these are only responses to comparable inflections in them. No candidate has a monopoly on morality or vice in any life or death conflict. I can also say that this Islam plays a variety of role in the Philippines now and then. Indeed, one of the Philippines' greatest communities has a lot to offer in the ongoing search of national identity. So now, let's proceed to topic 3. The history of terrorism in the Philippines. Terrorism remains a chronic concern in the Philippines for a variety of reasons. There are organizations that continue to oppose the government and attempt to destabilize the peace process between the government and the Moro Islamic Liberation Front. These groups benefit from the fact that the armed forces of the Philippines are overstretched, lack necessary resources, are inadequately trained and equipped, and frequently fuel support for the militants by committing human rights violations such as intentionally targeting villages with mortar fire. When it comes with culture and religion relating in terrorism, I can say that in some aspects, the two are sometimes related and has to do with this terrorist. In my own point of view, by observing everything in my surroundings, mostly cause terrorists are the political issues, crises, the difference in culture, tradition, and beliefs, poverty, inequality, power, money, and etc. And also, terrorists starts within ourselves, family, and experiences. For instance, may mga bagay akong gustong gawin tapos against yung parents ko sa gusto ko. Kaya sometimes nagiging terrorist ako for disobeying my parents' will and following my desires. Well, for me, terrorists isn't only all about fighting against the law with violence, using their weapons, but also they have different beliefs, reasons, purposes, and experiences to fight for. That's why we should not judge each and everyone by just looking at their current situation, for we don't know what they are going through for them to do such thing. Instead of judging them, why not try to look deeper, analyze, and understand? So now, let's move on to our topic 4. Agreement of peace between the government of the Republic of the Philippines and the Moro Islamic Liberation Front. The government of the Republic of the Philippines and the Moro Islamic Liberation Front signed an agreement on August 27, 1998 and commit to reach a negotiated political settlement of the Bangsamoro problem and ensuring the peace and stability in Mindanao. In accordance to their peace agreement, this aspect should also be adjusted. Just like in security aspect, hindi naman pwede na kung ano yung security nyo noon, while you two does not conduct this peace agreement yet, ayun pa rin ang susundin nyo. Remember, you agreed in peace agreement already. Like for instance, ang higpit ng security nyo before this peace agreement thing, then you have to change or adjust it in order to you all have a peace and freedom also. What I'm trying to say is all the past agreements shall be implemented in accordance with this peace agreement of the parties. Another aspect is the rehabilitation aspect. This aspect talks about the people of both parties with regards on their habitats, that the parties shall safely return evacuees to their respective place of the region and provide their necessary needs, financial or material, and technical assistance to start a new life. Because I do believe that being a leader, it is your responsibility to manage, guide, and support your members. Well, in conclusion, having peace is a must for each and everybody. Peace talk is one of hundreds and millions of reasons to have a peace on two parties and on ourselves. Pakikipag-usap ng maayos at huwag magpadala sa emosyon at galit ay malaking tulong upang magkaisa ang lahat. Having this peace talk can help everyone to easily understand and agree with the right decisions. Reflecting this document on myself is really relatable because at my age, there are a lot of misunderstandings at every little or big thing. That is why it is necessary na kung may mga problema man o hindi pagkakaintindihan, it's better to conduct a peace talk than to make a reckless actions and would lead me, you, and every one of us to regrets. Okay, so now let's proceed to our topic 5. Report of the cholera epidemic in the Philippines. Cholera is a severe diarrheal sickness caused by a Vibrio cholerae bacterial infection of the intestine. Within the cholera fighting zone, colonial rulers prevented people from congregating in locations where cholera could spread, such as churches and cockpits. the cholera virus spread so quickly? First, there was a scarcity of doctors in the province, which made diagnosis and treatment of diseases other than cholera difficult. Sanitary conditions were also predictably deplorable by modern standards, with water for drinking and personal hygiene sometimes sourced from open wells or rivers. While the epidemic was raging, the Board of Health ordered that no funeral services for the dead be held in the Batangas churches as precaution against its spread. As a workaround, church services were held without the deceased's bodies, which were frequently taken directly to the cemetery for burial. The Board of Health's actions would eventually result in a reduction in the disease's spread. However, by the time the Board of Health claimed that the epidemic had vanished from Luzon in 1904, the total number of documented cases in Batangas was 3,433 with 2,718 deaths. The overall mortality rate was 79%. More outbreaks of the disease would occur in the country in the future years, but not on the same scale as the pandemic that raged from 1902 to 1904. So now let's proceed to topic 6. The Mintal, the Little Tokyo of the pre-war Philippines. Mintal is the little Tokyo in the history of the Philippines, and only few people knows about the Davao City and Japan share historical bond. There was a vibrant colony of roughly 30,000 Japanese in Barangay Mintal more than a century ago. A century later, only a few Japanese remain from the community relics, cemetery, and monuments that serve as a window to the past. The Japanese community that arrived in Davao was among the most progressive in Davao's early days, leaving a long-lasting legacy that inspires us to this day. Davao is the only city in the country with such a significant and beneficial Japanese influence. Davao was discovered to be an ideal location for abaca cultivation during the Commonwealth era. The land was fertile, the weather was kind, and unlike Bicol, it was safely placed outside of the typhoon belt. Pantaleon Pelayo Sr., a Davao delegate, firstly condemned total Japanese control of Davao and their unrestricted acquisition of land during the 1934 Constitutional Convention. Ota Q. Zaboro, a wealthy entrepreneur who arrived in the city in 1903, was one of the early Japanese pioneers in Davao. Has the Otakyuzaboro Monument, which is still standing in Mintal Elementary School. It is virtually forgotten these days, or just dimly referenced in some Davaoeño talks. The story of Mintal, the Japanese presence, and their contribution to modern life and culture are completely ignored. The heritage options for a neighborhood like Mintal are limitless. But first, the locals must rediscover and recreate their Japanese ancestry, which provides them the cultural value that distinguishes them from their neighbors. When people rediscover their city's individuality, doors and opportunities open up. Houses were repaired and repurposed, plazas and streets were improved. New enterprises sprouted, and tourists began to arrive in droves. Davao is a city of migrants, with residents from all over the Philippines. The Japanese were among its oldest and most prominent migrant groups, and they deserve greater appreciation and acknowledgement for their legacy and they currently receive. So now let's move on to another topic. The post-war Philippines 1947 RP-US Military Bases Agreement, accessed November 21, 2020. The Military Bases Agreement is an agreement between the Philippines and the United States addressing military bases. This agreement provided the U.S. a 99-year lease on a number of military and naval stations in the Philippines. This agreement imposed no constraints on the location of the bases or the types of weapons that may be stored there. It is also used to recruit Filipino volunteers into the U.S. Armed Forces. The governments of the United States of America and the Republic of the Philippines are eager to collaborate in their two countries' shared defense through arrangements consistent with United Nations processes and objectives. The government of the Republic of the Philippines has requested U.S. aid in providing for the Philippines defense and developing strong Philippine military forces for such defense. Therefore, the governments of the Republic of the Philippines and of the United States of America, upon the terms of the delimitation, establishment, maintenance, and operation of military bases in the Philippines. Well, in my own perspective, these agreements are helpful to both parties. Why? If these agreements did not exist during the post-war Philippines, I don't think Philippines could go through a war. For we all know naman na Philippines is lack in weapons, strong defense, etc. It is helpful kasi nakikinabang yung dalawang bansa naman like kung anong wala at nung isa mapupunan nung isa pagkakaisa kumbaga. So next, let's proceed to topic A. 1972 to 1986 to 1973 Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines. This document contains 17 articles, but I'm just going to talk about Article 4, the Bill of Rights. Human rights are inherent to all of us, regardless of nationality, sex, ethnic origin, color, religion, or any other status. Every human being alive has the right, and this isn't granted by any state or country, a universal law that each human alive carries. Coming from the most fundamental, the right to live our everyday life such as making a living, right for food, water, education, health, work, and liberty. It creates the individual's relationship with the state and defines the individual's rights by limiting the authorized powers of the state. It is one of the most important political achievements of the Filipinos. Without the Bill of Rights, we would be living in a world of unfairness, government control, and no individuality of the people. Government control is something that almost everyone fears at some point. Policemen or authority arresting for the way you look or the way you dress, being labeled as suspicious, or getting mistreated by somebody who has higher status than you, etc. The world would be scary as this if it isn't because of human rights. This has always been the law that protects us from the very beginning, from being mistreated, being thrown and not taking responsibility to, law that keeps everybody equal and respect each other. In conclusion, the Bill of Rights guarantees our freedom of expression, religion, assembly, and due process of law just like how it should be, because we, humans, are deserving to be treated this way. And if this Bill of Rights does not exist, I can't imagine and enjoy the idea of how scary this world is. Our freedom and rights did not just depend on government, on the law, but it also starts with ourselves. Respectful and be responsible will do. So now let's proceed to topic 9. The inaugural address of His Excellency Rodrigo Roa Duterte, President of the Philippines. Rodrigo Rua Duterte, most commonly known as Digong, elected as the President of Philippines on May 9, 2016. After elected as the President of the Philippines, President Duterte prefaced his inaugural address, which he delivered on June 30, 2016, conceding that the support and cooperation of the people were crucial to the success of a leader. During his speech, he thanked a lot of people who made him succeed on that presidential journey. He named important people who shared part to his victory, such as President Fidel Ramos, his fellow workers, and his countrymen. In this inaugural address, he showed how thankful and grateful he was. Among his speech, this line I really admire most. No leader, however strong, can succeed at anything of national importance or significance unless he has the support and cooperation of the people he is tasked to lead and sworn to serve. Just look how humble he is. I love this line of him being humble and is able to appreciate his supporters even he already achieved his success, not just only this line or this word I love, but especially his deeds. His great deeds on our country. In the middle of the speech, he confidently said and speak his mother tongue. Tinud anay nga kabag-uhan, mao kana ang tumong sa atong pagpangumbiyano. In which makita mangyud nato during his term how he stand on his words nga naagyoy kabag-uhan, and I am confidently proud for having a president like him who lives as a remarkable term. Lastly, he ended his speech saying these words, I am here because I love my country and I love the people of the Philippines. I am here because I am ready to start my work for the nation. President Duterte's speech was a relatable one. Anyone who can listen or read his address will obviously can relate because as a citizen, I am also longing for a leader like him. Look, pansin nyo, since his term, our country seems having it peaceful living. His deeds as a leader reflects on his members, on our country. Mag-reflect talaga yung trabaho ng isang tao sa nasasakupan nito. Because I am also once a leader, and I can say that if you are a responsible leader, your members will also be that responsible. So now, let's move on to the last topic of this finals coverage. A supplemental material topic, Davao during the 1896 to 1898 Philippine Revolution. The events of 1896 in Manila and its suburbs had little impact on the stability of Davao region in the final years of Spanish colonial authority. The first concrete indication that the revolution had reached Davao came in the form of Father Orios. The district's Jesuit leader at that time reported to his superior that despite the disturbance in Manila, the local population remained unaffected. During the revolution, provinces of Davao take part of the history, just like Mati City, that has always been known as a beach destination, with foreigners flocking to the city to enjoy what its beaches have to offer. I can't imagine that the beautiful city of Mati having its rebellion in the history. The revolution against Spain was begun in northern Mindanao at Iligan City when a group of disciplinarios committed to the cause of the Katipuneros and mutinied against the Spanish army in the early months of 1897. Well, after reading the document, I am amazed by the unity our beloved Davao, especially provinces of Davao Oriental have. Despite of the lack of weapon and etc., they still try to fight para sa pagbabago. Just like nowadays, people still longing for the things they think need to be changed, though siguro dili man sa pakikidigma na paraan, pero at least. Okay, I think that would be all for this final coverage, and I am Janice Cordero, again your vlogger for today's video. And do not forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you for watching. Till next time, bye-bye!